Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Mums at Work. My name is Rawa.
My name is Sumayya and today we'll be discussing social life or lack of social life as a working mother.
So Sumayya, social life, difficult one when you have kids, isn't it? I think we come from a culture that really applauds women that work too hard and actually overwork and maybe do a bit too much. And what I find is when you become someone like that, you will break down. Your productivity in everything, whether it's your work, whether it's your kids, whether it's your relationship with your husband, your kids, everything just, productivity levels start to decrease, your stress levels increase, you don't get much done. So it's really important. I think over the years I found it's really important to make time for having a social life. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I totally agree when you say that people, when they hear that, because at present I'm doing two jobs, and they say, oh wow, mashallah, you're doing two jobs, how do you cope with your children and your husband and, all of that, but then they don't see the other flip side of it. And it's definitely, I have noticed in recent months that I don't have time for my husband, for my children, even for myself, even general well-being, and it is difficult. And I just think sometimes you have to step back from the hours that you put in as a working mom and come back as a mom that you can talk to, or even have like spending time with your friends, even just having a conversation with your husband sometimes is what you need, to feel satisfied that, my day has gone well, And
yeah, definitely. We have another show about reconnecting with our partners.
Yes.
We won't talk too much about that, but I think it's really important for people to socialise and make time. And the things that I found helped me is I make an active and conscious decision to ensure that I have a bit of a social life. I'm generally not a very social person. I do like being in my own bubble. I do like being at home a lot. But I think when I do make the time to go out and see friends or make the time to call someone, I feel different after it. I do feel refreshed. I do feel like, yes, I can come back and conquer anything. So I see the benefits of it 100%. But some things that work for me, so I don't know if you all agree, but for example, when I'm at work, something I used to do is, call a friend when I'm walking back to the train station or in my lunch break when I'm going to pick up some lunch. I'll just call a friend and have a quick chat because because it's busy, it's hard, you're hard, your life is hard, you're busy, you don't have the time otherwise. So I find even, the drive to the supermarket or the drive to somewhere, I'll tend to call someone and have a chat with them because I feel like that's my chance of reconnecting with someone and just switching off from the usual mundane things of work and life and kids. And you'll find that as well, that's all we tend to talk about, whereas sometimes meeting up with someone you haven't seen for a while, you start talking about other things, you start you start picking up on things that you might have missed out on life, and definitely recharges you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You do feel like you got that rush of adrenaline that goes in you, and there's that saying of filling your own cup before you can fill someone else's cup.
Oh, that's nice.
Of the cup of emotional well-being. Yeah. And I do, like you said, you make the effort of a meeting or calling friends. So I'm not that type of person that will call friends that much, but I really enjoy going to see them. So when I find that opportunity of time, sometimes in the evening, yes, I might reach them late, but I will definitely try and make the big effort to go and meet them. And I'll even drive an hour to meet them or whatever, but I want to make the effort. Yeah. Because I live further away than a lot of my friends. But now I feel like if I don't make that effort, then I'll never get to see them.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not a fan of driving car.
I wasn't a fan of driving at all. But then I said to myself that if I don't make that effort, then I'm never going to see them.
And do you find you come back and you are different?
Absolutely. I feel so much more energetic. Even if I come back really late, I feel really energetic and I'm ready for the week ahead, because I often see them on the Friday and I'm like, I'm ready for the weekend. I'm ready for the week ahead. I've seen my friends. I feel we've had a good laugh, and I come back and I'm like, I'm full of energy and it's just... And I mean, we may not have done that much. We just sat and talked and eaten.
That's what's nice about it.
Exactly. It just really fills me up, and I come back in a better mood. For my husband as well, we talk, and for my kids as well, and it really gives me that boost that I need.
I think that's the thing when you mention the husband. Don't want to go too much into it, but definitely you come back talking about other things. Yeah. You might have heard something good, you might have heard something funny, you might have heard something interesting, and then you'll come back and you'll have more to say to the kids, to your husband. It just changes things. And I think for me personally as well, I find that when I'm socializing with people of a similar, I guess, life to me. For example, if they've also got kids, if they're also working, or if they're also, you know, we're of the same mindset or something like that, it makes things a lot easier as well, because I find that you do tend to disconnect a lot with the people where you no longer have things in common. So you could have friends that you've grown up with, but then they might, for example, just have carried on pursuing their career, but you've kind of stopped, you've had kids, you've taken a step back, they still don't have kids. So you're not in sync anymore, and you tend to disconnect from these people. But it makes it a lot easier to socialise when you're so busy with people who are also busy, also have kids, also kind of, you have the same understanding, isn't it?
And I think you then appreciate them a lot more, because you know they're from the same sort of background, and that they have the similar or same lifestyle as you, and they've taken time out from their busy life, their kids, their husband and work, and sometimes they live in extended families and all the rest of it, and they've taken that time out to come and see you, and you've taken your time out. So that appreciation is so much more than maybe when we used to hang out in college days or university days. True, The appreciation is huge, because you may only see each other for maybe 2 hours every few weeks or something, but you know you put that huge effort into it. You've organized your day with your children, your husband and your work, and you know you've taken that time for yourself. And I think this is really important for, you know, working moms.
No, definitely, I agree with you. I want to ask you, how often do you think a working mom should go out, should socialize, should give that time?
That's a tricky question. I don't know, to be honest, about should, but I try to make the effort of at least meeting my really close group of friends twice a month, if that's possible.
So once every 2 weeks?
So I mean, we do speak on the phone, and you know, we have our WhatsApp messages are going throughout the entire day, more or less, you know. But when you see each other, I think it's so much different, you know. I mean,
and it's just to be physically out of your house as well.
That's
so when
it,
you when you go out and meet up in a restaurant or something like that,
Absolutely.
you're changing your surroundings. You're physically taking yourself away from the things that are just holding you down and making you stressed out.
Absolutely.
I said to my husband the other day, I said, I need to get out. I just need to get away from, not that you or the kids or the house is stressing me out. I just when you feel like you've been in that environment for too long, you need a break and you need to switch off and just go to a completely different
and you know,
environment.
it's the excitement as well, because I see them maybe twice a month, you know, and the excitement of meeting them, the prep for it, getting ready, you know, all of that stuff is it actually is part of the whole social experience, isn't it? You know, it's like when your children are young and they're getting ready for a birthday party, they're like super excited about it. So I get excited as well going to see my friends.
It changes your state of mind completely.
Absolutely, and I just think, you know, there's something different to look forward to rather than the usual dinner and bath and all the rest of it that you have to do with the children. And not that I don't enjoy that, but everyone deserves a change and looks forward to a change, you know? So, yeah.
So one thing I also tend to do is to, like, if I want to spend time with a friend, I will suggest that we go and play like a game of badminton or something like that, because for me, I don't even have time to incorporate fitness into my everyday life. So that's, for me, it's like, you know, killing two birds with one stone. I'm meeting up with a friend, we're having a good time, we're socializing, at the same time we're doing something beneficial for both of us, where, you know, fitness. So that's another thing that I sometimes encourage my friends to do. Do you find that you can fit that around your busy life?
To be honest, I find it really difficult to fit in fitness in my life right now because of handling 2 jobs. So I often like to fit in the fitness side of things. I'll take a longer route to work because we walk. So me and my children I work at the same school as my children do. Attend. So we'll sometimes take a longer route, or we'll go to the park afterwards and we'll walk around. And although that's not socializing with my friends, but that's still achieving, you know, mental health, like physical health and mental health as well at the same time, getting lots of fresh air. And we all know that connecting with the natural environment is just as important to us as the food and drink that we eat.
Definitely.
You know, so, you know, just sitting there enjoying the sunshine, because, you know, you're so busy sometimes. Yes, I work in a school and I do get out into the playground, but you don't always get the chance to, you know, observe everything around you. And at the end of the day, you know, I think you have that time where the kids are playing in the park, and you can sit on the bench and just observe Allah's creations. It's just beautiful.
And to be honest, I think I felt that more being in lockdown, and you know, we can't see anyone, so we'll tend to go on these long walks, and you get to observe, like you said, all of nature. But also that was a chance for me to also call a friend who lives close by and say, do you want to go for a walk? I'm just going for a walk, socially distanced walk.
Yeah.
But it's still a nice walk.
I've actually done some Zoom calls and things with friends or relatives overseas while I'm walking. And I find myself laughing and walking at the same time, and people must think that, oh my gosh, she's crazy, like, what is she doing?
No, that's amazing.
I just think, you know what, and it does make me, I actually realise I walk faster when I'm
walk
laughing.
More.
Yeah, and I don't even realise how much I walked when I'm on the phone to like someone that I'm really enjoying this conversation with.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I guess it is a bit similar to what you just said.
No, definitely. Yeah, that's a form of exercise. Yeah, no, 100%.
So you get two things that together, you're socializing, you're talking to someone, having a laugh, and then you're also doing exercise at the same time, which is fantastic.
Which is excellent, because also for me, it's really important within my life to be really realistic about time and expectations of time, because we tend to, for me personally, I like to create these very, very, very long to-do lists. And sometimes I forget, okay, there's only so much hours in a day and I have to condense that. Yeah. So one way of doing that, so if I've got, a bit of, have a walk at this time or whatever, so that's something I can do where I kill two birds with one stone and speak to a friend, or call my mum even, or call my sister, or just speak to somebody while I'm walking, because then I've killed two birds with one stone on my to-do list. But yeah, definitely 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you there, because I still think that when you're working and you've got children and you've got a house to look after, everything sometimes needs to fall into blocks. But when there's so much to do and you become so overwhelmed, it just doesn't happen. But then when you can go for a walk or a run or whatever, and then socialize at the same time with somebody, either with them physically or on the phone, you do feel like you feel recharged, not just physically but mentally, because you've spoken to the person that you care about so much. And even if it's like, sometimes I might be on the phone to my mom or sister and just having a moan about stuff, but you need to get that off your chest as well, because if you're working all day long, you don't have that opportunity to speak to somebody, and it's only your trusted few people that you can have a moan about. And get that out of your system, and so that you can carry on the rest of the day. I think that's really important as well.
Another thing, Sumayya, is we don't realise that a lot of what we do, our actions, what we say, is going to trickle onto our kids. So that's one thing I'm always afraid of, is if I don't socialise and show my kids that it's great to have friends and it's great to speak to people and it's great to go out, I'm worried that they'll grow up not being like that, and we don't want them to be like that, isn't it? So even now when I meet up with friends, I try to meet up with friends where they have kids the same age as my friends, because that's also, I'm incorporating their social time. It's important for them to socialise.
Yeah, I agree with you there completely, because a lot of my friends now have children of the same age as my children. So I just feel like, when we meet up during school holidays, they socialise with the kids and I get to spend time with my friends as well. So it's like, a double whammy, so it's nice that way. So they get that social aspect as well, and they can see, oh, mummy's chatting and having a fun time with her friends, and these are new friends or friends that they may have seen a handful of times before, and now they are, they've grown a real good bond.
They're growing their own social,
they are.
Social bubble,
and you can see as they're getting older, like the way they change their play, and then they really catch on to what you're saying and doing, and they really observe everything. So as you said, it's so important.
They imitate our behaviour.
To have a positive way that you should be able to have a family life and a social life at the same time, and be a working mum,
Perfect, yeah. And that brings us on to our dear friend Isra to speak a bit about accepting help.
Our views and beliefs about asking for help and accepting help is actually really similar to other belief systems that we might have that shape how we see ourselves, how we see the world around us and people around us as well. So, and a lot of those beliefs are actually formed really, really early on in our life, usually up to the age of 8 or 12, depending on our upbringing. So if we were brought up in a household where accepting help and asking for help is rewarded and encouraged, then we would be conditioned to repeat that action, and we would be more willing to actually accept help and ask for help whenever we need it. However, if we grew up in a household where it was rejected or even seen as a negative thing, or not encouraged to do that, told maybe do this alone, you shouldn't be asking for help, then the chances are we've formed a negative association with accepting or asking for help, and we're less likely to actually do it. So realizing that culture and upbringing plays a big role. And it's not about saying, oh, okay, the parents did something wrong, they did what they knew best. But it's actually saying, for me now as an adult, I can choose something differently. and really asking yourself, is this belief system that I have towards accepting help, is it healthy, and is it serving me and my family and society as a whole as well? So, and I think sometimes if we look at some of the signs that it's probably time to ask for help, is if you consider yourself to be facing any overwhelm, if you have anxiety or extreme stress, or if you are losing patience maybe. These are the kind of signs that you should be looking out for that saying it's probably too much for me at this stage. It's okay for me to accept help from somebody else. And maybe we grew up in a culture where we're now within Western society where we're told we should be doing it alone, that independence and doing things by yourself, it might be encouraged. But I think if we go back, there's a lovely quote that says it takes, for example, it takes a village to raise a child. So that kind of quote is actually really true, and I've seen it in my own life, that you do need other people in society to help you even with your own children, because people will have different skills. Your children will need to listen to somebody else. They will need to be around other people other than yourself. So sometimes it's really about telling yourself, I need to let go of that control, that it's not only me that brings up my children, it's okay for other people around me that I trust and that I know have a good value system that's similar to me to help me in the process. And by doing that, it's actually realizing that it's not just about you accepting the help. It's not, just helping you, but rather it's helping your children. And actually it's helping the person that you're accepting help from as well. And sometimes I ask that with people. I say, are you happy for someone that you love to actually turn to you when they need you? And they say, yeah, I absolutely love that. I feel really great helping them. But then when it comes to themselves, they actually deprive their loved ones of that feeling of asking for help. So sometimes just having that mindset shift really helps in how we look at accepting help and asking for help as well in our own life. So, and I think even to probably a more serious extent, not just in terms of childcare. As a childcare, I've seen even some women saying, I feel guilty asking for help from my husband, or my husband is babysitting. Just using some of those languages like he's babysitting, like he's doing you a favor, but actually, because we don't have that same perspective when we look after our kids. So it's really looking at some of the language that you use. Are they doing me a favor, or they're babysitting, or they're helping me out? It's actually maybe refraining from those and using words that help you to build a more positive association with accepting help and asking for help. And obviously, probably a more critical and I think more important time to ask for her help is if you are struggling with mental health. And I think that's something that we really need to encourage people to say, that you don't need to be reaching breaking point when you begin to challenge some of those beliefs. You don't need to be reaching breaking point when you go seek help and to really develop yourself and invest time and effort and money possibly in yourself to reach out for somebody professional or family that can help support you to get you out of some of the things that you're facing. Because avoiding or not doing that, or walking away from that help, it can have a really big effect on yourself in the long term, on your own family, your relationship with your kids, your partners, your family around you. So I think for overall, it's just about saying that it's okay, that I'm not the only one going through this, and I deserve and I'm worthy of that help.
Oh, wow. So, Sumayya, are you very good at accepting help?
I have to say I'm actually really good at accepting help, because I feel like if I don't accept the help, then I'll be over panicked and overwhelmed by the end of the day. And what I had to do, which is essential, like to complete the day with kids and all the things that you have to do. And if I don't accept the help from like my husband or my mom, they are like my hugest pillars, and my sister, like the family support that I have. If I didn't accept it, without that guilt factor that I'm taking help from everyone, I don't think I'll be able to complete my day.
No, that's great if it works for you. I think it's always important to accept help and say yes to the offers of help.
Yes.
But with regards to other things, it's important to say yes to less. Would you agree with other commitments in our life?
Yes, absolutely. I do agree. I think I've had to stop myself and saying yes, oh yes, you can do this, oh yes, I can do that. And I feel like once I've stepped back from saying yes all the time, I do sometimes there's a tinge of guilt, but then I feel that
Yeah.
I have for my own well-being, for my family's well-being, I have to sometimes say yes, like, because I have, on one side I work in a school, and on the other side I have my own business. So I really have to try and balance things out.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to say, I can't always say yes to customers, because I have to think that I need to say yes to my children, about maybe they want to go to the park or whatever it is, and I feel like I have to step back in that aspect. What about in your family
So yes,
life?
I'm like you. I feel completely and utterly guilty when I say no to people. You know, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's, you know, kids at home or anything like that. I'm always like, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do this. I always say yes to everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to learn, I think, more to say no more, because I think that's something I need to work on, scaling back on my commitments. I feel like sometimes it does become a bit overwhelming. And if I have too much to do, and if I'm saying yes to everything, then that's going to impact on everything else. So that's going to impact on my social life, you know, or definitely there'll be a lack of social life there. It's going to impact on my relationship at home with my husband, with my kids. I'll be constantly stressed. I've been through those periods, and you know, I've had to, you know, I think my husband is the voice in my head constantly telling me, you need to say no, you need to say no. And I think it's important to have that in your life, somebody that can tell you, Sumayya, that's enough.
Yes.
Because even for me, for example, I've got a full-time job. I work as a governor in a school. I have an Instagram business, and I want to do more. My problem is I want to do more, and I've got all these ideas, and I always say to my husband, oh, I really want to do this, and he literally has to stop me.
Okay.
And I think for me, I need that. I need someone to say, that's enough, you've done enough. But you know, it makes sense, because less is more at the end of the day, you know, and it means we have time for our kids, it means we have time for our husbands, for our house. For our friends, and I think now I've kind of realised that they are the priorities in life. It's not about just doing too much all the time.
Yes,
definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you there completely, because I feel like that I've noticed that once I've stepped back a little bit, I can spend more time with my children, and now they're getting older as well, and they definitely need me more when it comes to schoolwork and emotional and friendship groups and things like that. And if I'm not there for them now in this period of time, then they won't be able to say, oh, I can come and talk to mom about things, because still, even though I'm working 2 jobs, I'm still the parent that's there more. Because we go to school together, we come back together, and the whole evening we spend together and everything. Although I'm busy doing my whole other business, baking on the side, I'm still there physically, and you know, I want them to be able to come up to me and speak to me, and you know, have me as to rely on me, not just now as a child, but as they grow into teen years.
Definitely.
And it's so important, especially in this day and age when things are changing so drastically. And if I'm not committed to my family, to my children, when they need me the most, they won't be able to come to me. So I think it's really important that I prioritise what I say yes to and what I have to say no to.
And even, to be honest, say it to yourself, because, you know, I find with kids it's really important. It's something I had to learn over the years, is just live in the moment, live in the present, and listen to them, because you know, sometimes you're like, oh my god, I need to wash the dishes. You're standing there washing the dishes, your child will come wanting to show you a piece of artwork that they've just spent 2 hours drawing, and your mind is not with them, it's with the dishes, because you're thinking, after the dishes, I need to do this, I need to do this. Absolutely. So you don't connect with your child. They just spent 2 hours excited to show you this piece of artwork that they've done. And over time, actually, I've learned, say no to the housework. Say no to what you're currently doing now. Your child has just come, and if you ignore them now, they won't come to you again. You know, they'll just pick up on your behaviour. So for me personally, I've had to learn to say no to myself, no to the voice in my head. I have, so much housework to do, so much cook, you know, whatever it is. Say no and take a step back, because if we're going to do so much, if we're going to have so many work commitments and other commitments in our life, then we need to say something's got to give, right? So we need to say no to that voice in our head. Leave the dishes, leave the clothes, leave whatever it is you've got to do, because priority is the kids. And I think my kids know that. I've always said to them that even the work I do is all for them. It's so they can have a better life. It's so they can, you know, aspire to be something great, you know, and they are still priority at the end of the day, aren't they?
So I'm so glad that you said that when you speak to your children, you say, everything that you're doing is for their brighter future, because this is exactly the same thing that I say to my children. I say that, yes, mommy's working hard, she's doing 2 jobs right now, but it's all for, for your better future, and you can see that it's okay for mommy and daddy to both be working hard. And so when you grow older, you'll see the importance of working hard.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, now I try and incorporate my children into my baking, into my business as well. So like, especially my older one, he's now 10, and I feel like I get ideas from him, and he really enjoys that.
And one day they can take it over, isn't
That's it. I keep telling them, oh, when mommy's too old to do all of that, then you can take it over and everything. And he's like, yeah, mommy, I've already given you so many ideas. I will have so many ideas. And I really enjoy that, because now they can help me with that, especially when I've got massive orders to complete, and they can assemble the boxes and make sure everything is correctly there, and cut things out for me, and I feel like they're part of it now, so they're slowly coming into the business side of things, which is, it's really nice for them to be part of it. And so it's not like, oh, mommy's working, you have to go and do your own thing. No, they can be part of it, and exactly, and they feel you can see the pride and the importance, and they feel really important that I'm part of it now. So I think in that way.
So I think also, even in the workplace, it's important that we can also say no at work. For example, I'm also one of these people when seniors send out requests for work or they want something to be done. I'm always first to say, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll pick this up. Yes, I'm on it. But then I find that actually, oh dear, I've taken on too much, and I'm embarrassed to go back and say, sorry, I don't have the capacity to do this, or I don't have the capacity to do that. And what will end up happening for me is, because I get embarrassed and I don't want to push back, I'll end up working evenings, and I'll end up working, overtime or during weekends, even sometimes, just to catch up on everything I've said yes to. It's hard. I know it's hard to kind of deviate away from that kind of like way of working, I guess. But that's something recently I'm working hard on, even at work, to say, look, I've reached full capacity. I can't pick up any more matters. And actually, I've done it recently, and the biggest worry is we worry that we'll look bad at work, isn't it? We worry that they'll think, oh, she's not capable. She can't take on too much work. But actually, I found that when I have gone to my line manager and said, I'm a bit overwhelmed, I've got too much on, I found that actually they're really supportive. And they'll turn around and they'll say, okay, is there anything we can take off you? Is there anything we can give to someone else? Give some things to us, or this. And actually, it's important to speak to your line manager, because they'll know that person is asking for work, so maybe you should refer some things to him. And actually, it becomes really nice to then communicate with other people in your team and say, have you got capacity to pick this up, because I can't, or I'm clocking off early today because I'm taking the kids out. They're having a bit of a meltdown during the holidays, and I need to take them out. I find that it's getting easier to say things like that now at work. So I think it's important that even at work you realise that, prioritize your work, that's fine, but don't say yes to everything when you know there aren't enough hours in the day. And especially working from home, it's hard because you think, kids are at school and it's great, I've got 6 hours to knock out as much work as possible. But actually, you forget that you need to incorporate time for breaks, you need to incorporate time for putting clothes in the in the washing machine, you need to incorporate time for lunch, and you think, oh my God, kids are coming home, I've forgotten about their lunch. So always, I find that the rule now is give yourself tasks that don't take up your whole day, so give yourself more time. And then if you do pick things up throughout the day, then you've got time, and that's fine. What do you think?
I totally agree with you in that sense. Sometimes there's, even after work, we'll get emails, or there's this training happening, or can you reply to this message, and all of that. And I just think, I've just finished work, I've come home, I don't want to have a bombardment of emails and having to complete all these tasks, because there was points in the time where I would see myself, I'd put the kids to bed, and I'd have like an hour or something in the evening where I'd be replying to emails, or chasing up things that really should have been done at within school hours or whatever. But a lot of people are just like emailing, and you have to respond to them. And I feel like I have to step back and say, after this time, I'm not going to check my work emails. And if somebody has messaged me or something, it can wait till the next day, and this is my time for myself, this is my time to speak to my husband, or whatever it is, like if I have a story time with my kids or whatever it is that way. And on the other side, when I have my baking, my own business career, Initially, I used to try and take on all the orders possible because I feel like I don't want to knock back any customers. I don't want anyone to think, oh, she can't take my my order. But now I think once I've reached capacity and I know physically how much I'm able to do because I'm making everything myself, and I feel like if I take on another order, or I will not be able to put my best into what I've already taken on board.
It's about productivity, what you put into
Absolutely,
it.
and I don't want anyone to come back and say to me, "Oh, this wasn't like good enough" or whatever. I want to be happy that what I've given them is my quality. It's not always about quantity. We always hear that it's all about quality and not quantity, and I can really see that now. And also, you feel less stress.
Yes.
Because it's just like, I make a long list of things that I need to do. And it's like, I'm ticking it off, but it's not getting any smaller. Yeah. That's what I used to feel like. But now I know that, you know, it's okay to say no because you've already said yes in other ways. Yeah. So you can't always say yes all the time. It's just too much. And as one person doing something, it's crazy to be able to do everything in one go, because obviously, like you said, you have to incorporate things like breaks, time for food, time for family time. You just to finish all the household things as well, because that has to be done as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think it's nice to know that we can say, I've learned from you as well, that it's okay to say no to work, to customers, to friends, you know, and make sure you give yourself that time to socialise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if when it comes, like we were talking about social life earlier, something just popped into my head, and there has been times where I've had to say no to meeting my friends, even though I really want to, but I know I've got a backlog of work to do, and yes, I might have to say no to them at that time, but I know my friends know me so well that they know that I'm not just fobbing them off because I don't want to meet them or whatever, but they know that what my lifestyle is like, and they accept me for that.
Exactly.
And they know that, inshallah, another time Sumayya will be able to meet another time when her workload is not so much and she can enjoy and relax and, you know, really participate in just chilling out rather than being stressed that I'll have to get home, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. And sometimes you have to say no to your social life as well. I think we have to think about it that way as well.
Yes, definitely. That's really nice, Sumayya. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Mums at Work. See you next time. Ma salama.